instructions.
No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Actually, it's good night. I already have that immediate reflex ready to go. But today we're doing a nighttime dump. I know you guys are used to the morning dumps, but it's a weekend one. Those sometimes are a little bit more liable to get a little bit different time, and also we didn't those are also kind of bonus episodes is a way to look at it to go on these days. So here we are today doing a bonus dump on a Sunday night. I do have a little bit of a guest for you that will be joining here soon. Have my buddy Clint Russell. He'll be joining us. I did want to get makeup for, I forget which day it was this week, but we missed one this week. I forget what confluence of events came together to make that happen, but we weren't able to get one of the days this week, so I figured I'd get you a bonus. Plus, there were some big stuff that happened over the weekends that I feel like we're going to get lost in the news cycle if I didn't cover them today. So that kind of made sense for me. But like I said, I've got Clint showing up here soon. I know you guys are. We've kind of got a little bit of a fan club of Austin these days, especially it shows up in the chat. So sorry he's not here, but he will be here tomorrow. He'll be running point tomorrow. I should be there tomorrow as well. But I'll be running kind of like second seat. So it'll be Austin running the show tomorrow, his topics, him kind of running through it. I'll bring a little bit to the table. But that's the format these days. The format is Monday, Tuesdays are Austin's, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are mine, and then just kind of whatever on the weekends if we even pick up a weekend. So it's just so you know, just so you guys get a feel, that way you know. And so when I say that, I say Monday, Tuesday, Austin runs the show. I may or may not show up for those episodes. If I do show up, I kind of play the role of co-host. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those are the days I have kind of agreed to take those days. And if he shows up, he'll run second seat. So that's just kind of how these work. Just so you guys know, if you guys want a kind of sense of normalcy of when to expect who and what. But with that, I do want to take a moment to pay the bills and to remind you guys who sponsored today's episode. That's our buddies, Nadeau Shave Co. This is the way to go. Look at this single blade safety razor. You compare this to those multi-blade bullshit out there. It's much better. I mean, those multiple braids equal multiple blades running across your face, which screws it up. It's also, contrary to what you would think, it actually is a worse shave. If you're doing one single sharp blade running it through, you're going to get a much cleaner shave. So you're going to get a cleaner shave. It's better for your skin. It is also a lot cheaper. Even the first year, you're going to be making your money back, and after that, you're just getting blades. It's $75 for the first year. You compare that to those multi-blade cartridges. You're saving money the first year. On top of all of that is a company that doesn't hate your guts. This company was born out of refusing the COVID mandate, and you can get an additional 10% off if you use Jose at checkout. So definitely go do that. I mean, if you're a shaver, it's kind of a no-brainer, really. So. And especially if you're someone who supports this show and if you want to, get a product out of your support, this is the way to do it. Highly recommend it. I use it to edge up my beard, and on the very rare occasions I shave it, that's what I use. But with that, let's go ahead and pop in the chat, say hi to all of y'all. I see Blake in the chat saying, hope you have a good day. I see Fire Pixie, see Conspiracy Carpenter saying Austin is the GOAT, saying he's hoping he's here and not me. I'm sorry, you got me. He says, I'm just kidding. I get it. It's hard to beat Mr. Picard. I agree. I am one of his biggest fans as well, so I do not fault anyone at all that wants to prefer to have that baby boy there. I see a lot of the regulars, Jordan, Meat Cavern, Wise Elk, Nancy. We got we can make a lot of y'all popping in here today. Got Wolfgang, some of y'all that I don't see as much. Dick Boner, nice. All right, let's get into some content. Let's get into some goofy stuff while we wait. Clint's gonna be a little bit late, so let's get into some content that some of the stuff that I wanted to cover before he got in here. Here we go. Let me go, as always. I mean, the StreamYard has been weird these days, so sometimes it gets a little goofy. So holler at me in the chat if there's any audio issues or anything like that. But I guess Ye released a new song called, or is it previewed his new song, Heil Hitler. I listened to this earlier. I'm going to let you guys know it actually kind of sounds like a banger. I'm a little bit hyped for it, but let's go ahead and play it. Give you a little bit of a sampling of Ye's new music. I put the Corolla bands. All right, I for one think that actually weirdly slaps. So someone says mad respect for Jose's free speech absolutism on his own show chat. I'm mostly too lazy and don't really know how to block you guys. Plus, you guys are fine. No one's really being mean. I don't know. There's not that. I don't know. There's nothing really to complain about. Yeah, there's not really much commentary to give about the Ye thing. For one, I'm enjoying it. I know a lot of people want to attribute some sort of conspiracy, and perhaps I wouldn't be surprised when it comes to Ye, but man, I am just enjoying it. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's really all there is to it for me. I'm enjoying the ride. I mean, maybe this is a situation where some deep, dark, shadowy entities like Ye, we want you to talk mad shit about the Jews because we want to help the Jews or whatever. And maybe that's happening. And you know what? I don't care. If either way, it's enjoyable. It's fun. I'm having fun with it. I don't even know if it really I don't think it really results in that. I don't know. I think most people, it is kind of almost this great divider. It's almost a litmus test. It's like, are you able to have fun? Like, if you're taking the political stance of Kanye West, seriously, I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you. And if you're really genuinely getting upset about this banger of a song called Heil Hitler, I think you just need to reevaluate your priorities in life. So yeah, it's a lot of people in the chat are saying mega troll. So I mean, maybe it's some angle, but it's like if there is some conspiratorial angle, it's like whatever. Okay, cool, fine, have fun with that because I don't really think it's working out like you want, and I'm having a blasty blast with it. All right, and another one to get through. So one of you guys shared this with me. Let's play this video. Apparently, I'm already a little. I didn't look over this. Like, this show is kind of somewhat like a reaction show. Typically, sometimes I read some of the stuff ahead of time. But one of you guys shared this to me. I forgot who. I didn't. Usually I save that. Oh no, there we go. Look, Red Child said, which one of y'all's moms ate too much sweets? I guess the idea here, I did kind of skim it. The idea is that big candy and chocolate companies like Hershey and Nestle are being exposed for marketing their products at pregnant women to manipulate them into making their children gay. Let's go ahead and watch this 20-second video, which I'm sure will completely establish this. Bear in mind, this is from our favorite little sewer goblin, Dom Lucra. So let's go ahead and play this.
You know, they say they highly advise you not to eat sweets when you're pregnant because it increases the likelihood of a child turning gay if you're eating sweets. I'm for real, looking into the study, and it's interesting because it shows why Hershey's chocolate, etc., all of them are able to promote to pregnant women because your child has a better chance of being gay from having a sweet diet.
Hold on. What do you mean they're able to? I mean, correct me, chat. Let me know. Is chocolate one of the things you say you're not supposed to eat when you're pregnant? Because, like, I know there is certain things, obviously alcohol, I think shellfish, certain things. Is chocolate one of them? Because I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Obviously, it's Tom, so you really shouldn't take anything he says seriously. But he's saying, "Oh, this is how they're able to market to." What does it even mean? They're able to, as if they were going to be barred from marketing to fucking. As they're going to be barred to marketing to pregnant women. It makes no fucking sense. But all right, let's keep playing.
Think about this. You know what it is, brother? All that alcohol, espresso martinis, all those crazy sweet drinks, bro. I'm telling you, bro, that's what it is, man.
All right, yeah, this is stupid. All right, whatever. This is a fun one. Whatever, a fun little goofy one to get into. Let's read a little bit more. I guess in the body of the text. See if there's anything that I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe there is something to eating chocolate makes you a little bit gay. I would think that there's probably a high correlation between high sweet diets and being more effeminate. I would just assume eating more high protein diet is typically going to be more conducive towards producing testosterone. So I would say it's more of a correlation causation thing. But let's go with this. Rita Strakosha, who has an MPS degree in clinical psychology from Albanian University, sounds legit, sent the 56-page document to Pink News after self-publishing it as an ebook on Amazon. In the document, Strakosha claims homosexuals often eat large amounts of high glycemic index foods and fat, or eating an imbalanced diet leading toward carbohydrates. Some studies show an increased rate of obesity among homosexuals. Gay men, lesbian, and bisexual women report a higher odds of sugar-sweetened beverage consumption than straight men and women. The paper ties homosexuality to fats, sugars, and alcohol, proceeding to claim that cutting them out of your diet can prevent the return of homosexual attractions. The clinical sources: Vickers, Clayton, maternal. So I guess I'm assuming this is a study. Looks like obviously Dom just copy-pasted this out of something else. The sources being... I mean, I don't really know how to read these, to be honest, either, but I think he probably just copy-pasted this out somewhere, and it may not make sense out of context. But yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not going to try to read the fucking whatever studies he just copied and pasted here. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with this sounds like complete and utter bullshit, and Dom has mastered the art of looking for bullshit stuff out there. This sounds like the correlation causation, what I was just talking about. But either way, it makes for a fun little goofy story to talk about. Oh, see Clinton back there in chat. What's up, dude? How long you been sitting back there?
5 minutes.
No fucking way. All right. Okay. All right.
I mean, a couple minutes. It's all good.
Okay. All right.
What's going on, dude?
Well, my bad. What's up, dude? Glad to have you. I just finished looking at this. Do you think chocolate makes you gay? I mean, I was just kind of doing stupid fluff pieces till you showed up.
Yeah. No, this is actually what I wanted to join to talk about.
Oh,
yeah. It made me really gay.
Yeah.
And I love chocolate. And I love Dom Luker, the chocolatey goodness that he is.
Yeah. Our little sewer turtle. All right, let's get into some real stuff, buddy. What should we lead with? Let's lead. This is what I really wanted you on here for, right here. Have you? Sorry, do I hear something? Did you guys go in the background?
No.
Okay, I swear it sounded like fucking. I swear I thought I heard a fucking Top's background little mailbag music for a second. I thought I heard it in your background. I was like, what the fuck? Thought you were messing with me. But all right.
It's silent on my end as best I can tell.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Here is. I swear I keep hearing it, but all right, whatever. I'm tripping out. This is this video was discovered.
Anybody watching, if you hear what he's describing, drop it in the chat because I don't hear anything on my end.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I have like something running somewhere, but I'm losing my mind. That's anyways. All right, to throw myself. Have you seen this? Have you covered any of this? Have you seen the thing about the aid workers over in Gaza? I know I did a hard, awful segue there, but whatever that weird noise was freaking me the fuck out and threw me off.
Yeah,
so
I saw this
stupid,
last night.
awful segue. But go ahead.
I saw it last night. I know that the reports were that I guess they sped off, or they were trying to get away or something, but then the footage came out and it's just obviously they lied.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play the footage real quick. It says, I know for those the observant out there, it says almost 7 minutes. It's really less than a minute, so don't freak out. We're not gonna play the whole thing. About probably 5+ minutes of it is just dark screen and like hearing gunshots. If you unless you speak Israeli or whatever the hell they speak, it's probably of no use to you. So we'll cut it off around the minute. But let's go ahead and play this. This is to lead this. As simple as this is you're seeing an attack that happened and aid workers responding. And that's kind of where we're thrown into that. And I guess we'll kind of, obviously go along, let you know what happened as we go. But let's go and play this. You can see the lights clearly. So maybe it's longer than I thought. Maybe this is a different cut. I swear it was further along. All right, 2 exit. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, here we are. Yep, this is where they pull up. And immediately you hear the shots, and this is kind of where it ends. And there's just bop, 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 bop. That's really it. Now, this actually happened days after they picked back up hostilities essentially when the ceasefire broke off. But they were able to keep people out of the area for long enough to where we're just now getting news of this. And this, as you can tell, they attacked the aid workers, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But then they created a mass grave, tried to bury them. Here is the IDF real quick. We'll get their take, and then I guess we can kind of talk about it. But let's see their response. So you can see...
Well, the IDF did not randomly attack an ambulance. Last Sunday, several uncoordinated vehicles were identified advancing suspiciously toward IDF troops without headlights
Oh, yeah.
or emergency signals.
Totally.
IDF troops then opened fire at the suspected vehicles.
Whoops.
Yep. So that's that. I'll kind of scroll to show the kind of video you see. We have a mass grave here where they literally took essentially, in construction vehicles, they blocked off the area and they crushed down all the vehicles and buried all the bodies and everything in a grave. There was one aid worker who managed to somehow survive. I'm assuming he somehow got lost in the shuffle along with other civilians from something else going on. But what are your thoughts? Because this is... we are already in a position where it's like, you would think this would be something that would be like, holy shit, this is going to blow up the conversation. And I guess maybe to some extent it will, but it's like, we've already gone through enough to where we've seen enough hospitals be blown up. We just covered, I think a week ago, there was actually, I think there was in the past 2 weeks, there were 2 separate hospital attack stories, I think at least. So, this is becoming a regular thing, that, Hamas behind everybody. So I just kind of, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is going to change anything? This does seem like another level of depravity. This was quite ridiculous. I read this morning, was reading through a bunch of the different stuff, the details of it. It's a pretty gruesome, fucked up story. They essentially, I think they said none of the bodies were found with anything less than 20 bullets in them. It's quite gruesome.
But you heard the video. You heard the video. It's just a barrage. Look, I'll tell you, I learned my lesson about what is the threshold by which people get so horrified that this actually changes. And I thought, and I shit you not, I did an episode on this, and it was probably the least viewed episode I've ever done, but I did a video covering the self-immolation of that American dude. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was so impactful on me, and it didn't make a fucking dent. No one cared even slightly. So I have concluded, and that was a long time ago. That was like a year and a half ago or something. I've concluded that there is nothing that they can do, nothing, that will actually make a dent. I honestly believe they could nuke Gaza, and people would be like, for 10 days, people would be like, yo, what the fuck? And then it would be like, old news, moving on.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I know that's a really black pill take, but am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Ryan Grimm, I think, is it's just such an insane level of. And this is where insane anti-Semitic type shit where people complain about comes from, because it's like we get so gaslit to such an insane degree, and if you're anything other than if you're a normie, you don't look into this, you just live under this assumption of like, oh, like
Israel's just defending itself.
Yeah, because you're just kind of not paying it. You're not really paying attention. You hear official sources, this, that, like whatever on the news, and but so once you actually start looking into it, it is like this is why people snap so hard, because you're like, really, you're telling me my entire reality, everyone has been lying to me to an insane degree about this, like that they're not always the good guys. It's a little bit more complicated than that. I mean, I don't know. This is
more than being more complicated. It might be inverted. I mean,
yeah.
If you see footage like that, it's very hard to come to the conclusion that they're not the bad guys.
Oh,
you juxtapose that footage with the IDF spokesman just lying through his fucking teeth about every aspect, every detail of what transpired there. Like, they committed a war crime and they covered it up, and then the footage came out and it showed a war crime which they had covered up, and then everyone just moves on. And it's like, I just don't know how to get across to people how egregious these actions are, and if they would ever, like, if there's ever a time at which the Zionist conservative side of the political aisle would just be like, dude, this is fucking crazy. Like, we have to stop funding this. We have to. And there's just no threshold by which you can actually get people to feel that way, because if I talk about this stuff at all, which, by the way, I don't talk about it very much anymore either, because it's just so fruitless. I'm immediately just lambasted with accusations of Hamas sympathy and all this other shit, and it's just like, it's just not worth it.
It's the crazy thing though is that plays into it. The gaslighting is like, it almost makes you be like, yeah. I mean, and to some extent, to in a certain degree, it's kind of like, yeah, they almost. I know this could be something that gets clipped up, taken out of context. Or I don't. From everything I've seen, especially where I've gone so into the minutia of looking into this and that and this, especially if we're comparing the two, like, and comparing them to other entities in the world, other political entities, Hamas doesn't strike me as comparatively that bad, especially when juxtaposed with the IDF. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like either, and I think they very well contributed in their own way to this being the case, and so they're very guilty in a lot of ways of this. I mean, while it is ridiculous when you hear the Israel or U.S. being like, this is all Hamas's fault, in some sort of way, it's kind of true. Like, they knew what was going to happen when they did this. That doesn't justify Israel's behavior, but this is Hamas's fault to some degree. But when you look at these people interacting with each other, it is like, I mean, the only group that's really seemed to actually been a good faith, person working or entity working towards faith or towards peace here has actually been Hamas throughout. And it's kind of wild. While throughout we're always told terrorists, 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 terrorists. And I'm like, sure, okay. Like, if anything, you're just convincing me more and more that they're not terrorists.
Dude, there's been like 500 plus healthcare workers that have been killed in this war. I mean, it's insane. It's extraordinary. I mean, that's 1% of everybody that's been killed, I think, if my math's right, because there's about allegedly 50,000 killed, 500 of them healthcare workers. So, I mean, it's just like, and then you have, the IDF and every boomercon who just goes, this is actually probably the most efficient war in modern history, and that there has been, minimal civilian casualties, and it's just like, it's just talking to a wall, man. You want to read Ryan's tweet?
Oh, yeah, I was going to at some point. The biggest thing I really wanted to hone in on was the last thing, but I'll read the rest because he did give a pretty good commentary. He said, there aren't words strong enough to describe the cowardice and depravity of a military that will methodically execute medical workers, bury them in mass graves, and tell the New York Times the vehicles were advancing suspiciously without lights on. These soldiers and their superiors are utterly depraved and a threat to all humanity. A little side note for me, too. I'm pretty sure if I'm recalling correctly from my reading, I believe there actually wasn't even just the initial slew of aid workers that were attacked. I don't quote me on this, and go read the article, but I'm almost certain there were follow-up ones that were attacked as well, because they responded, and once they realized there was an attack, they followed up.
My understanding is that those vans that are pulling up on already deceased bodies. At least that's what I read. Well,
yeah,
last night.
But I meant like aid. What I meant is that there was some sort of something happened. Then aid workers got attacked responding, and then I believe they then responded to
third?
I my point being is it was just kind of like
Jesus.
I mean, it was at least 2 different aid groups. I forget the 2. It
I
was
know
like,
there's 2
what?
waves. I haven't
Yeah.
heard that there's a third, but
No. What I'm saying is 2 waves. Like there was some sort of initial attack, and so I might be describing both waves: the initial attack and the
I
second
know
one. So
what I'm
saying,
trying to explain is that the second wave is what we see on video.
Yeah.
That's my understanding, is that they are actually pulling up on what has already been an attack. So
Yeah.
I guess if you want to steelman the IDF's argument, they could say that the first attack is what they were describing, and that'll probably be the spin that they give if they are ever held to account, which they probably won't be. But if they were to spin it, that would be my guess as to how they try to.
Yeah. Now, the rest of it is before hiding the bodies in mass grave, they forgot to grab the cell phone of one of the medics who recorded his own assassination for the world to see. If it cares, as the soldiers are nearing the vehicle and the medic knows they will murder him, you can hear him saying, now this is a guy on video, if we watch the full thing and if we spoke Israeli or whatever they speak, forgive us, everyone, Hebrew, whatever, who fucking cares? Some fucking Eastern European made-up language. Forgive us, everyone, O God. Accept me as a martyr and accept my repentance. O Mother, forgive me. This is the path I have chosen to help people. So I don't know, something about that being his last words. It was, these are the terrorists. These are the ones that now you're seeing all the memes thrown around of with doctors and terrorist outfits and
Click
such,
the tweet at the bottom if you can.
Yeah. Let me see. Boom. I'm assuming this is just a link to the video.
Yeah,
That's
but
all
I
it
just
is.
want to point out that the link was buried. You see that?
Oh, I didn't even think anything of that. Doesn't that just have something to do with the way the format is, or maybe it has to do with the fact that there's a?
It could, but I'm not sure.
Here they limited it. I think might be why.
Oh, okay.
Right
There, that's
yeah,
why.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, inside baseball for people who don't know Twitter.
No, but I mean, if it had been buried by
Yeah.
X, that would have been a big story. So I just wanted to ask.
Oh, for sure. Okay, yeah, no, that's and then we also have here, on Israel's crimes. Before we keep moving, I guess they just they just killed the American citizen. So this is just breaking. This was just before when
whatever.
I started. So whatever, yeah, whatever.
I mean, you know what I'm saying though? Like,
Yeah.
it's not that I'm trying to be flippant about it. It's just that like it just whatever happens.
Yeah.
You know, like I love the Libertarian Institute and the antiwar.com guys, but like I just don't know how you continue to look at it day after day. You know what I mean? Like it just rips me apart. I have to look away. And I know maybe that's my own weakness, but I just can't keep looking at it.
I do the kind of same thing as I've been doing on like my show. What I've been because I've been doing almost like a daily show, like a Monday through Friday thing lately. And so a lot of that ends up being foreign policy stuff. But I pretty much, we go through these phases when the conflicts are going and it just becomes, the news becomes 40 dead in Lebanon, 30 dead in Syria, 20 dead in, and it's like that I can't do. Like I can't, that is just grinding and just, but like I guess little changes here and there. I don't know. I can do it, but sometimes it is just bad enough we have to mention. I get it, like it is like whatever. In some sense, kinda. We just covered a story about 15 aid workers being, essentially violently assassinated while trying to help people, and then disposed of, hiding the evidence. And now here we are as one of these guys happened to be a citizen. So it's like it is kind of to some extent, when you put the two together, it is kind of like whatever. So, considering what we just talked about. So
yeah, it's just too much for me, man. And respect to the people that can keep on it all the time. It's obviously important for news purposes and hopefully in generating public opposition to what's happening. But for just me personally, I'm just like, I can look at it like once a month, and then the rest of the time I have to tune out because otherwise I'll just lose my mind.
All right, we'll take a break from these travesties. Let's move on to something more fun. Rape.
Innocent.
The Matrix is under attack. I don't know to what extent you've really looked into that. I mean, here is the charge here, or the story at hand is Russell Brand charged with 2 counts of rape, indecent assault, and 2 counts of sexual assault. Obviously, what isn't mentioned here is that these are like from 20 years ago. So here
from 1999 to 2005.
Yep, right here.
Look,
These relate.
I just want to be very upfront about my bias on these issues. If it's true, I struggle to believe that it took 20 years for a case to be brought. And
It's bizarre.
So I just want to be honest with your audience. My bias is to not believe it because it's 20 plus years ago. That doesn't mean that it's not true. I'm just saying my bias is to go, this smells like bullshit to me.
I will say my bias for this individual specific instance is like I do lean towards it being untrue or even true, but just it's like something that's being weaponized now after the fact that it's like, I don't know. Obviously, if that's the case, it's like, sure, it's within the statute of limitations. He should get in trouble for it, blah, 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 blah. But I do think the real question here is like to the larger question, kind of like what kind of person are we dealing with a brand here? I think that's what a lot of people are kind of getting out of this. And this is kind of becomes one of those stories you can kind of pick what you want. This reminds me a lot of the Ian Carroll type stuff and I'm very understanding of his perspective because I'm the same way with like a Russell Brand or an Ian Carroll. I am extremely skeptical. For different reasons. Obviously, Ian Carroll's more like a crazy blast to like being a big, almost borderline household name. Obviously, that's pushing it, but he's kind of had a claim to fame really fucking quick. And he's I don't know. Sometimes he does seems
just
like
a year
he's
and
really.
a half.
So, yeah, and sometimes he does seem like he's kind of on the cope side of the regime, but I try not to get embroiled in these because it's like I don't follow enough of stuff to say maybe I don't see the videos where he says otherwise. But these are the ones that people always throw out as like, look at this,
I'm very understanding of someone like Ian because I'm also kind of new, like I've certainly been around a lot longer than him, but I've only been covering politics like day to day for 4 years, and that by normal definitions that's fucking new. So not compared to Ian, who's a total anomaly, but to everybody else, it's pretty fucking new. So, like, I think a lot of the times, like, actually talking about the antiwar.com guys, like a lot of them don't like me because I still have hope in the duopoly sometimes. Like when he was bringing in Tulsi and RFK and Cash and all these people, I'm like, this is the most opportunity for change in my lifetime. Like, it's the most opportunity, not to say that they're going to deliver. And ultimately, I decided to vote for him, which is the first time I voted GOP since Ron Paul. So, like, when I see Ian Carroll's coverage of, say, Trump's negotiations when it comes to Gaza, and he's like just saying, basically, it's such a disaster. I think that, I'm open to what Trump's trying to do, and he lost a ton of support as a consequence of that. I'm much more sympathetic to it because I'm just like, I think this guy's just he's just figuring it out on the fly. Like, he just doesn't know what the answer is, and he's super open-minded, and therefore sometimes he's going to get things wrong, and people are going to blast him for it, and, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe he said he is new to it, and he strikes me as someone who's like a bit of a voracious reader, so I think it's that he's devouring a lot of primary material. So he's kind of getting the main beats, but not really kind of doing what a lot of us do, is where we kind of have the slow boil and get kind of inundated and get more jaded, or I don't know. So there is sometimes where I do see him talk on certain things where like I know the source material that he would have had to have read to come to certain conclusions. I'm like, how did you miss this, that, and this? But you're like, if you've only read one book on the topic or whatever, sometimes you will miss certain things. And I think people sometimes have this tendency to think people know what they know. So this is why I don't like to try to get caught up in all of this. I mean, there are some examples where it gets a little bit over the top. Not speaking of Ian in general, but I can't even think of someone off the top of my head. But where you're like, okay, it's beyond the pale to where he's borderline unbelievable. But I think with Ian
Alex
Carroll,
Jones over the past month has been like that.
Yes, that's. I mean, I don't know if I'd say he's what I was describing, but kind of close. He's getting goddamn close to it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was kind of getting at is I think. With a character like, or actually with Ian and with Russell Brand, these are both people that while there are reasons to be skeptical of, I also think you need to hedge that against what do we actually know. And I don't think when it comes to Ian, it really is incredibly just speculation. I don't think I've seen anything that I have anything more than, because even really the slightest bit substantive, that's just it's all just speculation. There's nothing I've seen that's been the tiniest bit substantive, and even among like pattern recognition type thinking, not a ton really. He blew up quick. Sometimes there's some people say he copes for some stuff. I mean, that's not that much. But now when we have somebody like a Russell Brand, it's kind of the same thing, but there is a lot of pattern recognition stuff to be concerned about.
It's just much more of a duration.
Yeah.
In the public eye that makes you more justifiably skeptical of someone like Russell Brand as opposed to Ian. Like, if you think that Ian is an op, well, then he's an op from jump, and he's like literally a CIA agent. Like, and I'm personally, I don't believe that.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah.
Well,
I mean, I think there's other ways around that, but I get what you mean. Yeah.
Well, tell me how then, because I think that if you're someone like Ian who comes out of nowhere, has this explosive growth, and then copes for the regime, that seems like in 18 months, you think he sold out after a year? You know, like it looks more like they juiced his algo to put him where he's at.
Your claim was that he would then literally be a CIA agent. I was only saying that maybe he wouldn't. He could be. I was just basically, if you're just saying colloquially speaking, a Fed like in that sense, sure. But I'm just saying I don't think he literally has to be a CIA agent for that to be the case. I'm just saying like he could be an asset. He could be getting paid. There's a million other ways. But I do kind of tend to agree with you.
I don't agree with that though, because why would he need to be paid? Like this guy has had such enormous success. He can monetize it and make a fortune as it stands today. He went from 0 to 1.2 million or something like that on X in a matter of, I mean, now he's on Rogan. He's got, I think, upwards of 2 million on TikTok. Like this dude can monetize and make way more than what a government asset makes. Like way more.
Yeah, I mean, also, I guess, there's a million different ways. Obviously, we don't know. So it's kind of like if you're asking me, I'm just saying, I don't think the logical, jump from that is he would therefore have to be a CIA agent from the jump. Now, if you mean some sort of glowy of some sort, sure. I'm just being a little bit pedantic here, and it's not really a point. I really feel like we should linger on.
Yeah. I mean, with Russell, I think that the only reason for doubting him is just this incredible switch to Christianity that coincides with these charges and these claims being levied, and then that would bring reason for an eyebrow lift as to like, all right, did you actually change, or did you try and put yourself as this outsider so that when these charges get levied, you can say they're persecuting me because I'm a truth teller. I'm the Tate brothers. I'm Alex Jones. I'm one of these people. I'm less jaded and less black-pilled than most people, which is, I think, why I like Ian, because he reminds me of me. He seems optimistic. So I think that's why I tend to assume the best of these guys, and until I'm proven otherwise, that's kind of where I lie.
Yeah, I mean, if Nephilim don't stick together, who's gonna,
Dude, but, I am a midget Nephilim compared to Ian. He's huge.
Yeah, he's a big fucking dude. You see, I haven't watched the thing with him and Candace, but seeing them next to each other is ridiculously comical. And I don't think she's short. I would guess she's probably like 5'7", 5'8", or something.
Yo, my head comes up to his chin.
Yeah, he looks ridiculous. He looks comical.
He's gigantic. I'm a pretty big guy, but he is a fucking giant of a human.
Honestly, I think his goofy size kind of explains some of his his oddness about him. Like his demeanor being so tall, you almost have to have like a weird like, "Hey guys, how are?" Like a kind of like it's that, or you have to be unassuming. It's one of the two.
Yeah,
which you kind of can't at that tall.
Just for the reason I have such a positive opinion about the guy is like all of my experience with him have been positive. We spent the entire day together. Josie and I, and like he just comes off like a totally sincere guy that's just like about it when it comes to digging deep on conspiracies and shit. So I don't know. I didn't get any Fed vibes, and just my 2 cents. That doesn't mean anything necessarily, but that's how I feel about it. That's why I came to the conclusion I did.
Yeah, I mean, most of my audience probably think you're a Fed anyway, so it doesn't really mean much to them.
Sure. I'm running cover for the other Fed then.
Exactly. Then I'm the Fed that runs cover for that Fed. We're all Feds, dude. It's just a circle of Feds. But yeah, I mean, I did want to kind of take a moment to, like, all we really know, unless there's more that comes out, and I'm sure there probably will be more that comes out in the future. As of right now, we have with Brand, we have that he's kind of a good voice for a lot of our ideas, and he's kind of been, he was married to Katy Perry, and was very associated with like the Diddy people and those milieu, and it's kind of like, okay, there's a lot to be concerned about, but as of right now, we don't have anything solid that I'm aware of. I'm open ears if anyone does, and he's kind of spitting our shit. So
yeah, I will say, given that he was a sex addict, it's kind of like the RFK shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't have any doubt in my mind that someone like Russell Brand made advances on women, probably did inappropriate things, but whether or not that got to the threshold of actually like raping multiple women, like I find that very hard to believe that there's no charges brought for 20 years and you have four different women that are all saying the same thing. and it only comes like at his apex of, wealth, power, influence, that's what kind of makes me so like. I guess what I'm saying is he's probably guilty of being a creep during that period when he was at his apex of movie stardom. But whether or not he was actually a rapist, I'm still very skeptical of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he did some wild shit. I mean, if you I'm sure you recall. I was just looking the other day at something of like some video from him back in the day, and you forget like what a crazy, weird,
he was a fucking maniac.
Yeah, he was a borderline twink, degenerate, like fucking just all over the place, just something else. So he's like, if that he's not gonna fucking blow my mind if you're like that dude raped a chick. You're like, okay, checks out. You're like, okay. I mean,
See,
water's wet.
I never jump to that conclusion when it comes to the rich and famous because they just have so many women that are throwing themselves at them.
Yeah.
So like you have to be an extraordinary fucking psychopath if you're a movie star who's then raping women. Like wow.
I think when you're someone, especially that's that level of degenerate, of just fucking just all the time, and just you can get anything you want. I think two things. For one, you put yourself in so many dubious scenarios to where really you kind of are a lot of times just kind of very much what is this? Like, I mean, obviously, like, I don't know, we could do the 12 shots conversation, but it really is very questionable circumstances they throw themselves in over and 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 over again. And then also on the flip side, there is like when you can kind of get anything you want, it's kind of like you want what you're not supposed to have.
Yeah, then you don't know how to accept no.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, like, it's not that it's impossible. I'm just saying you would have to be an extraordinary piece of shit if you have literally like hundreds of women throwing themselves at you per month, and you're like, I'm going to rape somebody. Like, you're a fucking absolute piece of shit at that point.
Well,
so
that's kind of what
possible?
degeneracy
Sure.
is. You're degenerating into incredible piece of shit. So it is kind of I don't know. I know,
but
crazy.
But that's not fair to say that just because you're a degenerate and you're a drug addict and you're a sex addict that you're like right on the precipice of also just raping whoever you see.
No, but
like, there's
I just
the
think
vast majority of people that are in that position, they just fuck groupies and then they, have kids out of wedlock and then they eventually wake up.
He was just a distinctly high level degeneracy you can point to. I mean, there are like others that maybe were higher that you could think of without going to criminal territory. But he's of the people that would come to mind. He's pushing the line of if you were to be like, what celebrity might have some deep, dark, fucked up sexual shit? You're like, man, I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Brand does. But he does seem like he may have turned a leaf. He does seem to be off the drugs. I mean, he does seem to be just, I don't know, he seems to be clear-minded. I do believe he's off the drugs. You look at him, see how he talks, he seems much more clear-headed than what he used to be. So I don't think it's an act in that way. So
he's definitely put his life together. It's just whether or not he's guilty of the shit in ancient past. Your guess is as good as mine.
100%. All right, let's get into more war crimes because that's where the show is slowly devolving into these days. Because this is war crime upon war crime. Here's old Donnie Trump here. This is showing on the screen. Yep. Sorry, just had to double check. StreamYard's been really gay lately. Here is a bunch of guys assembled in what looks like some sort of fucking oval. And watch this. Kaboom! Donald Trump says, these Houthis gathered for instructions for an attack. Oops, there will be no attack by these Houthis. They will never sink our ships again. Because everyone knows this is the standard formation for give out war plans. Yeah, I mean, guess if you...
it's insane. It's insane that, like... So my take on this was, within an hour of the footage being dropped by Trump, I quote tweeted it and I said, this is at worst a war crime or at best an act of war without congressional authorization. And I still got just immense pushback from people, and they all go like, did you read what Trump said? These are the guys that sunk our ships, and these are the Houthi terrorists, and blah blah blah. It's just like, no matter how many times people have figured out that they've been lied to when it comes to military adventurism, as long as it's their guy that's telling them the new narrative, they will immediately buy in. And it's amazing to me. So just to put all my cards on the table, my bias here is obviously to think that's probably not Houthi terrorists that are literally meeting in a fucking a circle to then game plan an attack on an American ship
and play Red Rover after.
yeah. I mean, like if you're actually a terrorist fucking preparing an attack against the most powerful army in human history, you're probably in a bunker having a conversation before you fucking launch your attack. You're not meeting up above where the fucking drones can take you out. So, like, just from a logic-based deduction, you have to conclude that this is probably bullshit from Trump, and it's probably a war crime.
Yeah, and it looks pretty fucking. Here's Dave DeCamp again. Johnny in the spot said, "Here's a report from Yemen's Saba news agency about the strike. The source explained that the video clip published by the criminal Trump, claiming that it was a gathering of military leaders, was merely an event for a social Eid. I don't really know how it's pronounced.
It's a Muslim holiday.
Yeah, well, I don't know how it's pronounced. I mean, so visit in Hodeidah province. So you're saying this is some sort of holiday. I assumed it was some sort of holiday or something of some sort. So yeah, that is the claim. This is I guess a regular thing that they do around here. So the
I've only ever read it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yes, it's a Muslim holiday.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it looked like some sort of like a tribal, like you see, like who would gather like that aside from children playing games or some sort of weird, ceremonial event or something. Like that's the only thing I can really think of why people would ever gather like that.
Eid al-Fitr, meaning Festival of Breaking the Fast, is a major Islamic holiday celebrated at the end of Ramadan, marking the end of the month-long fast, and is celebrated with prayers, family gatherings, and charity. So,
yeah. And I guess this
got to drop a bomb on it, obviously.
Yeah, and this would be, I guess, kind of what it would have looked like. This is from Jake Shields. Saying his commentary is kind of the same, more the same of what we said, but the picture I thought was worthwhile to kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with. Just kind of this is, I'm assuming I doubt this is the actual one. I mean, I highly doubt, but maybe.
It's not.
But
it's
this
not.
is a recreation of some sort. So
he's just showing an example of what he thinks it was, and I mean the obvious, as I said earlier, the obvious logical deduction is that it's probably not a meeting of terrorists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that makes zero fucking sense. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So we have us committing war crimes regularly against the Yemenis, and then we have Israel against Gaza. And
no one cares. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. And look, I think that it's obviously atrocious, which I said it as much. And I just, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat, like what I would think is, okay, let's. We want to have this war escalate with Iran, so let's blow up 50 or however many that is, 75, I don't know, peaceful non-terrorists to totally radicalize the Yemenis and get more and more terrorists to attack more and more of our ships, so that we can then justify escalating even further. Like, you can go down that path if you want to. If you want to steelman Trump's argument, which I'm hesitant to do, but you could say maybe 10 of those guys were in fact terrorists. Like, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I bet you those guys won't be bombing any fucking ships trying to go through the port. I guarantee it.
They're not going to be doing that. Oops. They're not going to be doing that. I just also want to clarify, when I say terrorists, I'm just using the parlance of our government. I mean, what these guys are really resistance fighters against our empire. That's not to say that I have sympathy for them. I'm not trying to go down that path. I'm just saying we label anyone that fights us terrorists at this point.
Yeah. But by the way, your mom is saying, I guess the video was released on the anniversary of the WikiLeaks collateral murderer. And he's saying it's not a coincidence. But I didn't know that was the case. I heard people obviously making parallels because, I mean, how do you not, I mean, this is them. I mean, the idea of that
17 years ago?
Yes, the idea is that we used to, at one time, when we were doing crazy shit, and I guess we still are, it's just now we're open about it, this is the kind of shit you would have to get leaked to you and someone lose their entire life for.
Yeah.
So that's just, yeah.
Yeah, no. Or you could spin it this way. You can go, oh, shit, we fucking absolutely accidentally hit a tribal gathering. Let's just post it publicly and brag about it.
Yeah, kind of insane.
Like the bigger the lie, the harder it is to disprove type of mentality. I don't know, man. It's grim.
All right, I have one that is perfect, right up your wheelhouse, buddy. You're not going to believe it, but this fucking Jew will not stop Jewing. He just Jews and Jews and Jews all the Jew day long. It's quite impressive. We have Ben Shapiro here. He is doubling down still on the JFK shit. He had some weird dysgenic-looking fuck on his show recently who I guess wrote some book about how, it really was Oswald. And it's like, okay, you look like a literal demon, and I'm supposed to take your word for it. But yes, he brought on some guy, and I guess they have some sort of theory where it's like, oh, we just get caught up in all the fun of conspiracy theorizing, and so we don't want the boring answer. So they kind of like over philosophize this. And so here's a little video of them kind of going into that, and then obviously that's kind of from there, I guess, a perfect time for then Clint to kind of drop a a couple minute or two rant about what a Jew Ben Shapiro is or something like that. So let's go.
A few weeks ago, I got myself in very hot water because on my show, I said, I don't really care about the JFK assassination any more than any other historical American assassination. What I meant by that is that I actually know who killed JFK, and it was Lee Harvey Oswald. And the reason that I don't care about it so much right now is because, like, I know the answer. I used to care a lot about the assassination in terms of these sorts of various conspiracy theories about who killed him, because if I go all the way back to my law school days, it was dim and dark in Cambridge, Massachusetts in the winter. There's nothing to do. And so I used to go over to the local video store and just rent videos. And so I picked up a copy of JFK, Oliver Stone's JFK, which is a really well-made, insane conspiracy theory. And so I watched the movie, and like everybody else, I'm kind of taken in by the movie. And I proceed to read probably 5-6 books about the JFK assassination. And then I start going deeper and deeper. And then I read your book, Case Closed, about the JFK assassination. And I read the Warren Report and all the rest of it. And I came away with the conclusion that it was Lee Harvey Oswald. And so now I don't find it any more interesting or noteworthy than I would any other assassination.
All right, I wish you got a better look at that guy. I don't know if you saw him before. He is
monstrosity,
peculiar looking. Like, just
I love this. I love this argument from Ben. He's like, so I read these 10 conspiracy theory books about, and there's like tons of evidence that there's a conspiracy here. I mean, he doesn't say that, but obviously, if you're reading those books, it's because there's a lot of evidence that there was a conspiracy. And then I read this one book, the 10th book. And it told me that Lee Harvey Oswald did it, and then I knew that Lee Harvey Oswald had done it, and then ever since then, I've just totally given up on any sort of conspiracy. Look, he's just a pathological liar. I got to be really, really honest about this one. Like, he is absolutely lying about the context of that article and what he wrote. I read the whole thing. Like, he said quite explicitly that it doesn't matter because it happened 75 years ago. Like, that was the main claim he was making. Yeah. The main claim was not that, oh, it doesn't matter because I know who killed him. He was saying it doesn't matter because it's ancient history. But the reality is that whatever your conclusion is as to who's responsible for murdering or assassinating JFK, it matters a lot. Yeah. So if you want to create a firestorm by a clickbait, title like, why does it matter? Well, you get what you fucking asked for, Ben. So don't act as if like you're aggrieved now because everyone got upset with you. Like, you wanted to create a firestorm, probably because your fucking Daily Wire is going under and you want to have some sort of, one, you want to have a distraction from that, and two, you want to drive traffic to your fucking shitty show. So this works on two fronts. So you're just a manipulative cunt, basically, is what I'm saying. And I don't think that there's anything, like, there's very few things in American history that matter more than who's responsible for killing JFK. Because if you're like me and you've come to the conclusion that it was not Lee Harvey Oswald, well, then very few things matter more than that. Because that means that whoever's responsible for it was never brought to justice. And if you believe that it was done by institutional powers, then you have to also believe that those institutions are still ruling over you to this day, which means that there is basically nothing more important than that. So fuck you, Ben Shapiro. There's
yeah, I mean, as we're sitting here with Trump, I've been, me and you have, kind of I don't know, bumped heads might be putting it the wrong way. That's overstating it. But, for years now, we've had, I've kind of been the more non-political voting type. You've been more, I don't know, kind of boomer con cope, I guess. But so we have bumped heads a little bit there. God, what was my even? I totally had a point. I forgot what my entire point was. I just wanted to make fun of you for a moment.
You got to throw in an insult, so I'm glad you had no point other than to just insult me. That was fun.
I had a point, and then I realized, like, as I was trying to put a little flair and have fun with it, I was like, oh shit, now I just lost my point. Now it's just straight insult.
You're like, we've bumped heads for a few years because you're a boomercon piece of shit, and I don't have a point besides that. Fun
It'll
stuff.
Come back to me later. I had a fucking point.
You're a great host, dude.
This is what I do, baby. This is what pays the bills. Fuck, what was my point? I had a fucking point. God, what was it? Man, it was something to do with whatever. We'll come back to it later. Let's get into I do have a super chat here that I do want to take a moment to recognize. Turbo Grug saying, is that the amazing political commentator Clitoris Tussle guessing on this episode? It sure is, Turbo Grug.
Tussling with them clitorises all day.
Yep. I do want to remind you guys that you guys can drop that over there. You can also do super chats on Austin's channel, but that doesn't go to me, so why would you do that? But because I do stream over there. But let's get into some... apparently, recently we had a massive international pedophile streaming network discovered. 2 million users sharing child porn across 35 countries. I don't know if you've seen that. I just
before we go into that topic,
yeah.
Here, take that down.
Okay, no, I want. No, you will leave. We'll leave the rape story up, and you'll talk. No,
I'd rather not. All right, so I just want people to understand something that's I don't think that most people understand, but like once you get a certain level of following, you're bombarded with so many fucking replies that are insulting to you that you become completely callous to it. So. Yeah. I just wanted to take this moment to let your $2 super chatter know that like you can't impact me anymore. I get literally, if you look at my my algorithm or my stats rather, I get 2,000 replies per day on X now. Sometimes significantly more, and I'd say probably 20% of them are just like vicious psychopathy. So I just want to like you're gonna have to come up with something more unique. That's all I wanted to say.
I think that was just more fun, whimsical.
I know. I don't think it was actually intended to be mean. No. I'm just saying, like, you also because you get bombarded with so many replies, you can't decipher between friend and foe. So, because I'll have someone saying that who's genuinely hates my guts and would like to literally hunt me down to the end of the earth, and then other people who are like fans of mine that also talk to me like that. So sometimes there's friendly fire.
People are tone deaf in comments, and I do want to let you guys know I'm at the point where it still hurts me a little bit, and I'm at the growing size to where like now people are starting to leave those messages. So I'm like, why?
Oh, dude,
why are you doing that?
That's the other thing. That's the other
it's
thing.
Never even constructive too. It's one thing if it's constructive.
Oh, bro.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
That's the other thing that like people don't understand is, when I was at like 50,000 followers, that shit would still bother me, and I was starting to get more and more of it, and like then I got known as being the guy who's blocked so many people and fuck Clint and all this other shit, and I'm like, and now I'm not that guy anymore because I've acclimated to this deluge of shitty behavior from people. But I just wish people were more sympathetic to like the growth arc and like how we evolve with it. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just trying to give more of an explanation so that people understand my behavior over time, so that they can maybe understand it better.
So they can understand your behavior. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Just
that's fair.
like put yourself in my shoes. Like if you had gone from a normal person who gets no comments at all to then getting 400 really shitty replies per day.
You're like dick doubled in size and your income 4x. Like, can you imagine like what it would be like to be me?
If you want to take it that way, that's fine. But that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying if you went from just dude playing beach volleyball to all of a sudden having a couple hundred vicious messages per day, like you're not acclimated for that. Like you just don't know how you would deal with it. That's all I'm saying.
God, man, I'm still it's still reeling over and over in my head. Like there was a good point I was getting to, but now I'm
glad you got to insult me though.
It was just mean, and it was mean for. It felt like in retrospect mean for mean's sake, but that wasn't the case. Yeah. All right, let's get.
One final point. The other alternative option is that I don't read the replies, because like once people get to following where I'm at and higher,
but
a lot of people
tone deaf.
They don't read with them at all. But then you become, as you said, totally detached from your audience and totally tone deaf. So it's like there's no perfect answer, I guess is what I'm trying to say to people. Like, and so like when Bert Kreischer or the whole Rogan sphere gets dragged mercilessly, I'm very sympathetic to it now, whereas before I probably would have just been joining in on the pylon. But I'm like you just have to remember that these people are actually human. Like they're actually having to learn and evolve and deal with this shit too. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of why I know a lot of people in our sphere do get caught up in the like fed this, fed that. And like I do kinda, but I always try to generally approach it in like let's look at what there is that points towards that. And as opposed to so I've actually been kind of resistant somewhat to the like, oh, Ian Carroll's a Fed and this and that, and like most people that watch my show, probably I'd say the majority of my audience is probably like, oh, he's totally a fucking Fed. Like that's the kind of audience that.
Well,
but it's like I'm
you
very
have put together
hesitant.
a very very unusual audience. But look, I'm not even like I will be the first to say I may be too trusting. You know, I might be. I just don't know. Like I've met the guy. He seems really nice. I don't know what to tell you.
I remember my points. Fuck.
All right, good.
God, because I was connecting into because one of the arguments people will bring up, and I was connecting it to Trump, was the concept of like assassination. Like, how do you control an entity? Like the idea of like if you are to succeed through politics, what you would need. And so like that's kind of that's the whole point of me bringing up. It's like so like when we've kind of pushed back and forth, the idea of like if a Trump was to enact any sort of change. It's like so there's a theoretical idea that we could look at this and say maybe Trump is behaving the way he's behaving to some extent because of forces out there like JFK type things, and I'm sure other incentives in place.
Sure.
And so this is why it matters. Like these incentives we don't want that there. We do not want the idea of a president. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like. Let's say it was like, I don't know, in response to the insane amount of foreign policy, something or other. I mean, obviously, I think it would likely probably end up badly, but that'd be one thing if it was for a righteous cause. Of course, it's not, though. It's always just like something stupid. So point being is it's like, if you see a president getting assassinated, it's likely for going against the establishment. So like you cannot have forces like that existing if you want a Trump or any future political entity, even if this is 80 years ago. It's like 80 years ago of a job that's every 4 years and is like the biggest job in the country theoretically. It's like 80 years ago, that's really not that much time when you think of it in 4 year terms.
The last guy living on the Warren Commission died 1 week before Trump won the election. So like this is sure it's a long time ago, scare quotes, but like it's it's very important still, Ben.
Kind of a big fucking deal. It's like I don't know. It's just people. It just shows people's lack of being able to think. I mean, obviously we know Ben's lying, but when people run with that, I mean, I hear that a lot. Obviously with like OKC, but it's like OKC even more so. It's like, dude, that happened when like I was 4. So like if you think that in the term of like how that shaped my reality, that's huge. And it's like if we want to affect the future, you need to learn from the past. And that's literally within my lifetime. That's literally something that's affected my reality.
One of the most formative things for me was Waco. I mean, it was really, really impactful. And I just got to make one more point about Shapiro. Because he says it does, like, first he says it doesn't matter because it's a long time ago. Who really gives a fuck? My opinion on this is as irrelevant as who killed Lincoln. So that's his first argument. His second argument is that it doesn't matter because I know who killed him. Okay, well then, why does the Holocaust matter, Ben? Because one, it was longer ago than JFK, and two, we also know who was responsible for that, if you're in Shapiro's worldview, right? So there's no mystery. We don't need to obsess over it. We don't need to talk about it anymore. So it's just like the entire line of argumentation is completely detached from the other priorities that he demonstrates with the rest of his behavior. So that is how I know definitively that he is a fucking lying scumbag. That, in fact, he's making an argument that he would never make on any other issue. He's just a fucking piece of shit.
Know how I know?
Yeah, well, you can say it if you want. I'm not going to go
there. Now you did that, took out the fun out of it. I was going to say the little hat, but it's not really why. Before we move back into pedophilia, I did want to take a second to address this super chat from Turbo Grug. The one who just hit you up a second ago. He said, "Your block is one I'm not proud of having. I will never apologize to Tom Woods for calling him a nigger." Turbo.
Well, if you message me on one of my YouTube videos and give me your handle, I'll unblock you. But stop being mean to me.
I love to see this sort of thing happen. Now, this is something I don't like to see happen. Pedophilia. I'm very much against that. I want to be very clear. Investigators stated that there was a site that had more than 91,000 child porn videos with around 3 new videos being uploaded to its servers every hour. They got Toad's computer, huh? Yeah, they got Toad's computer. Users were paying a fee to access the stream and upload their own videos of child sex abuse. They were able to make payments via cryptocurrencies to avoid a paper trail, and were given the incentive of earning tokens to spend on the site by uploading content.
Oof, that
this
is
is called
fucking
Kid
gross.
Flicks. Yeah. Woo, Kid Flicks. That is a thing that we have to be concerned about. Obviously, this will get probably spun to go after things like crypto, but either way, this is something to be concerned about.
Man, oh man.
Man, oh man. Hey, did you ever look in more? What are your thoughts? Did you look in more at all? Because you seem to be curious about this. Kind of roughly ties in. I don't have much to say about this, but this kind of sort of ties into the 764 thing. It's the same thing, but I don't know. You were asking me about
talking about
interrogating
BX's shit.
Yeah. Did you look into that more? What are your thoughts? Do you think Kyle's being? Because it is bizarre. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had my suspicions about Kyle for a while, but even with suspicions, this is bizarre behavior.
Yeah,
So,
I'll just be honest. Like, obviously, I don't know, but he's done a few things like this at this point. He went after this other author lady and proved her. I guess either she or her husband had donated to Democrats. She's a mutual of mine, Julie Kelly. She's done really great work covering the J6 trials.
No, she's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he just like basically went on a wrecking ball mode to try and destroy her career. And that was the first time I had seen that behavior.
I remember seeing that. She's really tied into my stuff too, because she's really good on the Michigan stuff and knows like really great with all the guys that are great in that stuff.
Yeah, kind of the same lane that BX is in, kind of. Yeah. So the fact that he has now done it to two people that I don't know BX and I don't know Julie either, but two people that I think of as doing good work
and have good bodies of good work. Yeah.
My knee jerk reaction is like, oh, this is like an intentional destruction of someone who's doing good work. Yeah. That's my read of it. I'd like to be proven wrong. I've had Kyle on my show, so I'm not coming to a firm conclusion, but it doesn't look good. Let's just be honest.
I will to add to those. I mean, he was the guy that had inside information on the pipe bombs that was never verified by anybody else and was super way ahead of the scoop. It was one of those ones that like looking back now, I'm like that was kind of weird. That ended up being like a big story later. There was
I genuinely thought over the past week or 3 or 4 days since this has been happening between he and BX is like I almost DM'd him because like he's DM'd me sometimes like when I was theorizing about XYZ, I don't remember what topic it was, but he messaged me going like, "No, you got this wrong." And I was like,
I remember that.
Okay.
There was something, and I remember what it was. And I feel like it was something I was like, I don't think he's right on that. I wish I could remember what it was.
Yeah, I could
because
probably
it was like
find it.
That was a great example of the role that person would kind of play because they've buddied up to people like you, and they get to. And this is kind of ties into this. He actually supposedly, according to BX, was in the DMs of Sean Ryan's booker and was like saying that like, oh,
wrecked her
stuff's bullshit.
opportunity. And it seems as if he was. I mean, if these are all screenshots and shit, so like I'm taking it at face value. But if it's true, it does look as if he not only did it, but basically bragged about it. And it's just, from my vantage point, like unless he's right, unless she's doing something fucking really weird.
Sure,
which, as I said, I don't know.
But that's the thing. He never made any. I don't recall any claims. He made these vague just insults, and that was kind of it. And then, but it's like I was like, show a claim, make some. He did kind of make vague claims that it wasn't terrorism or this or that, and then it would be like, here's the FBI literally labeling them a terrorist. So I don't know what more you want. So
I don't understand. I don't understand the protest. Like, I don't understand his behavior at all. Like even on like even if he's right, it's still weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
like why would you interject yourself into like wrecking somebody? It's just like it's shit I wouldn't do. I don't know.
I mean, I sort of get it if he had something there, because it is like if she is full of shit, then it is like, okay, that is kind of taking away from other people's like real stuff, and it's like if you know something, but
like there's a lot of people I feel that way about, and I don't reach out to the booker of some show that they're going to go on and be like, yo, don't do that.
And I've made this point multiple times. It just kind of comes off as gross when like your whole thing is like, hey, we left the FBI because what the suspendables or unsuspendables or something. It's like they're the group of them that all like left for different reasons. All the kind of generic BoomerCon stuff, like I didn't want to get the pokey poke, which great, that's great.
Yeah, it's Garrett O'Boyle,
or it's
let me
woke
give the
or
names.
whatever. Yeah,
it's Garrett O'Boyle, Kyle Seraphin, Steve Friend. I don't. I'm mutuals with all three of them.
Other ones, but okay, 3.
There's probably others, but
Yeah.
like those are the 3 prominent ones that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
And I'm mutuals with all 3 of them, which is going to totally spiral your audience into oblivion, thinking that I'm a Fed, but they already did, so whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But I really like Steve. Like of those 3, he's the one that I've communicated with the most.
Yeah, he seems the coolest of the ones, I'd say.
Yeah,
probably.
and he just seems like true blue as a motherfucker. Like I can't say what he said to me over the past week, but he's just given me a lot of like insight into shit that I don't see any reason that he would be lying to me at this point. If that changes, obviously I'll change my opinion, but he just seems like a real dude.
Yeah, I will get. I mean, obviously I've never talked to him, but I do get a genuine more of the group. He's the one I've gotten the more of a genuine impression from. Yeah. But then there also was just recently Kyle went on with the terabyte fucking Epstein files shit too. So which haven't heard anything on that. So I don't think we have all these terabytes sitting over at FBI headquarters that they were supposedly going to drop. So maybe I could be wrong.
But I mean, if they do though, and I mean this is what I say with everything is like, if they do have 1 point whatever terabytes of fucking Epstein shit, like it's going to take serious time to put together cases for prosecution. So like even though I'm constantly prodding saying, yo, where are the fucking prosecutions? It is true that if they are working on prosecutions, it's probably going to take a few months. But at the same time, like here's my deadline, just for anybody that thinks like I'm running cover for these people, which I'm certainly not. But like my deadline for them is 1 year. Like if y'all don't fucking start bringing major prosecutions against these people, I'm just going to assume you're fucking total frauds.
My thing is, I just think they're way past it. Like, I mean, at least if we're talking specifically Epstein, like, I mean, maybe if you're talking other things, whatever. But I mean, if we're talking Epstein stuff here, like, they're way fucking past it. They have, I mean,
but hold on. Let me counter that because according to Bondi and Patel, there was tons of documents that were withheld from the New York FBI field office that they only got a month ago now. Like, you still think that that's enough time to put together these charges? Like, I would say probably not when you're trying to take down,
no, but there should
people.
be far more. If we're gonna go with like this whole like, this what feels like I don't know, rearranging the table, kind of musical chairs type nonsense. If we're gonna play this game, I think you need to be. And we're going to play this line of like, most transparent thing. Like, you need to be like as transparent as if like you're going to be making claims like, hey, we're going to have all these files this day and this, and then they don't, then you need to be like, here's where we hold feet to fire. We've seen like one guy get fired, but like the implications is like he should be getting strung the fuck up. Like I'm almost literally.
Yeah.
So,
look, you're going to get no disagreement from me. I think that if what they claimed is true, which I don't know if it is, but that's their claim, well then whoever was responsible in that New York FBI field office that didn't deliver those documents committed an egregious crime. Like, he tried to cover up for the most prolific child trafficking ring, and he's an FBI agent. I don't know what that crime is, but it's fucking extraordinary. Like, you have to go away forever and ever and ever. So, yeah, none of it adds up, man. You don't fire someone for doing that. You fucking hunt them to the end of the earth.
Oh, absolutely. But if there's any other topics you want to hit, but I think we're at a good one, a short nighttime stream, about an hour and some change. Unless you have some other specific topics.
Yeah, I got one final one for your audience, which may not matter. I don't know if they have investable assets, but
fucking tariffs. Let's talk about the tariff war. We already talked about that days ago. This is the thing about running a daily show.
Yeah,
but I'm down to hear your input because I know this is definitely your wheelhouse.
Sure, but I wasn't gonna bore them with the tariff debate.
Okay.
What I did want to talk to them about is that the market is in a lot of trouble. Like, so I just did 3 hours of Spaces, one of them while I was on the treadmill. But there's every market in Asia limit downed today, like this morning. So this is after we already had like a 10% drop in the American market over the past week because of the tariff shit. Now Asia has caught a cold And once Asia goes, then there's fucking margin calls. There's already margin calls on the American markets before Asia went under. There's the yen carry trade in Japan that will unwind. As a consequence, you'll have more of a cold that catches and spreads. I just wanted to briefly talk about it because like we are on the precipice of like '08 style crash potentially. So any questions you have for me, I'd be happy to talk about it. But like it's getting spicy fast.
So I think last time you were actually on, funny enough, I think we basically had this discussion. We were talking about, I think I had a few audience members who were a little more tapped into the econ world that were kind of giving me hints that they felt like a bust was a-coming. And I mean, as me and you have talked about, like I said last time, I believe it's usually every 6 to 10, 8 to 12 years or whatever we usually deal with boom bust. I mean, I think it's fair to say last we hit was, I'd say 2020 was probably the last one. Maybe. I mean, maybe you might disagree about exact date or whatever. I mean, that was some sort of bust of some sort.
They papered over it, so like that wasn't a real bust like it should have been. I mean, and they didn't just paper over it in a minor fashion, which was like it was an extraordinary fashion.
So that's why we're dealing with it 5 years later.
Yeah, and it was more of a dislocation than really even '08 was, because it was a freezing of the fucking global economy. Like 25% of all goods just stopped moving. It was insane. So I think that, like, yes, historically, when the Fed wasn't intervening as aggressively as they have been, 8 years to 10 years was kind of the standard. Like, you have a boom period, and then that would be the bust, but the bust would be relatively minor. And the '08 bust was extraordinary. And then they kicked the can with the TARP bailout, which was $800 billion, which at the time was the largest bailout in human history. And then 2020 happens. They bring that upon themselves because it's man-made virus, and the lockdowns were man-made, obviously. And then they printed somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 to $5 trillion in America. If you extrapolate out and you look at the entire global economy, from some estimates, there was approximately the equivalent of 15 trillion US dollars printed globally. So these are different currencies, obviously, but I'm just trying to put it into Americanized terms. So what we're talking about is like the entire GDP of America almost has been printed during that period. So it's fucking extraordinary. And then you have Trump's team come in and they're like, we're going to completely change the entire trading paradigm with this tariff regime. And at first they market it as being reciprocal tariffs. And I'm like, I'm on board with that, because I think if you're tariffing our goods, fuck you, let's negotiate. We're going to tariff you back. If you drop, we drop. And I'm like, that from my vantage point makes a freer market, because if they drop and we drop, then it actually lowers trade barriers, which is more in alignment with Austrian economics, even though Austrian libertarians disagree with me on this, and I'm not really sure why. I think that if you can negotiate lower tariffs from oppositional countries, that's obviously a net benefit to the free market. So why would that not be in alignment? Anyways, they totally threw that aside, and then they started to levy the tariff percentages based off of trade deficit. So not off of reciprocity of trade of tariffs from other nations, but rather a whole bundle of things. And then currency manipulation, tariff rates, and other non-tariff trade barriers. And then they just threw all of that aside and they said, no, we're just going to do it based off of trade deficit. And it's like, do you think that people in the Philippines or Guam or Vietnam are ever going to be able to buy exactly the amount of goods from America as we buy from them, you fucking psychopaths? So it's totally impossible that they can actually level their trade with us. It's totally an impossibility. And then on top of that, you have the Triffin dilemma, which basically says that, this is a 1960s economist, which says that if you are the reserve currency of the world, you have no choice but to run trade deficits, because your currency needs to be utilized by the rest of the world. So you have to basically send out your currency to the rest of the world so that they can trade with it. Dum-dum. You want to be the reserve currency, or don't you? So Trump is now saying, fuck all that. We're going to be the reserve currency of the world, and we're going to have a trade surplus with fucking Ethiopia. Like, it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. So it seems as if he's intentionally tanking the economy. And this is already a very weak economy that's based on garbage, on total fiat and total government largesse. And on top of that, you're also laying off tens of thousands of federal employees, which means that they lose their fucking their paychecks, which means they can't afford their rent. So it's like a perfect fucking storm. And
AI, UBI, roll out, fucking Agenda 2030, technocracy, all fucking just butt fucked, right? Just the whole, just perfect, played out like fucking perfect little chess game. Fucking, we all just coped like, oh, look how fucking dope this is. Doge is fucking slashing prices, baby. And then slowly we see the budget creep up on us, and we see Israel finally getting their due, and we realize, oh fuck, we see the Altmans, the Ellisons, the Elons, fucking just a nibbling on his balls, and you know the writings on the wall.
Let's then, since you've already walked with me this far, let me take one more step with you. What do you think they do if there's a bad depression? You fucking bomb Iran. Because you're going to have so much anger amongst the population, and you're going to have all these young men that are fucking rudderless, jobless, wifeless, houseless, kidless. What are you going to do with them? Or you go send them to fucking take out the mullahs or whatever. It's like, I am fucking nervous, bro. So that's the reason that I wanted to,
you gotta
to
clear
end
out
with
the bodies. I mean, another thought I had as you were, another question I had that kind of, we've dealt with the dynamic we've dealt with for so long. As I mentioned before, we have this boom bust cycle of like 8 to 12-ish years, roughly speaking, depending on how stable your economy is. Really, obviously, the lower amount of time, the worse things are. And we're getting to the point where it looks like we're getting to every 4 years. And so we've had this dynamic for a long time now, where it's been, every president, kind of the game is like, how can I kind of move things around and kind of keep it so I don't feel this bust, or if it's unavoidable, how do I navigate around it? So it's always been this game of like this like decade away or less thing, and now we're getting to this point where it's becoming a term away. So it's like this is becoming more and more unavoidable thing to deal with. What are we? I mean, I don't know how long we would really, hang out in this area of every 4 years or so, but before we see some sort of major something that brings it more to some sort of equilibrium. But what are your thoughts on this? How it affects the political game when we're dealing with the timetable speeding up so much quicker?
Yeah, let me just take a wider lens on this issue. So, who was president in 2008 when the crash happened? George Bush. Relative economic stability under Obama, because they plummet interest rates to zero. They just juice the economy. They have the $800 billion bailout. So the Democrat gets to look good. The Republican looks like shit. Then you have Trump comes in. His economy's booming. Can't have that, because then you have a right-winger who looks as if he's been successful with the economy. Tank that motherfucker. Release a virus. Lockdowns. Print trillions. Then you have Biden come in, relative stability, at least in stock market terms. Stock market booms during that period, even though the economy fucking sucks. So a lot of people, those that are invested in the stock market, they conclude Democrat did good, Trump did bad. Then you have Trump come back in. He rolls out this tariff paradigm. Economy's already long in the tooth. There should have been a recession anyways. But once again, a right-winger gets saddled with the recession. And I'm like, is that all organic to you? Like, I don't know, man. So, yeah, this is definitely tinfoil, but like, it makes me feel as if they are setting up a paradigm by which the people no longer trust conservatives with the economy, which historically had been the opposite. That the conservatives were always perceived as being the better arbiters of the economy. At least that's what capitalists always felt like. The conservatives, they want lower taxes, they want a freer market, blah blah blah, and now it gets inverted. And I'm skeptical as to whether or not that's not intentional.
Yeah, I think that might just be kind of how incentives play out too. Because as I'm thinking about it, it's like as your consciousness rises economically, as you think about it, then the dynamic of how things. And this has kind of been one of my arguments why people like you kind of point out that like maybe we should have. It's good that we did vote for Trump. I'm like, I don't know if it really makes that big of a difference for this reason. How it typically works when you have a Democrat in office, and then especially when you have a majority in elsewhere as Republicans, you tend to have actually the establishment or the overall, the Leviathan actually tends to be a little bit more conservative, or actually tend to be more libertarian, surprisingly, because you actually have an active pushback that's worth a damn. Whereas when we have the flip side, when we have a Republican in office, and especially when you have the liberals running the show elsewhere, then we deal with this thing where we lose the opposite. And we get to this point because the public consciousness, as it did with MAGA, kind of raises, and they're like, oh, I want that, and then they kind of get fed a poison pill with what we're seeing now, and it's all over again.
Here's the obvious counter, though, is that like under the Biden administration, there was really nefarious shit that was happening, like really egregious. And Kamala Harris, being the VP of that administration, would have been a continuation of that, which was, censorship, provocations against the largest nuclear power on earth, prosecutions of dissidents, the J6ers, all this other shit. Like there was just such a like menagerie of shit that was being laid at my doorstep that I was like, this is so dangerous. Even if Trump's a poison pill, it's still preferable to the Democrats maintaining power over the next 4 years. So that was my ultimate conclusion. But that's not to say that like it's all fucking sunshine and rainbows, or that like Trump's our guy, And I think that's the thing that frustrates me about the pushback I get from the libertarian community when they're like, "How dare you fucking vote for this guy?" It's like, dude, I'm not like, I've never told you guys that he's our savior. Like I've never said that. I just think that it's like sometimes you're in such a bad condition, and like there was a real chance that like they fucking shut down X if Kamala had won. Like there's a real chance of that. So from my vantage point, sometimes you got to fucking, the lesser of two evils is actually better because it's existential.
Yeah, and I hung out and had probably got stoned and ate a few cookies. So these. Inside you, there are two wolves.
Yep.
I do want to point out before we get out of here real quick, I see you in the chat, $5 from Bug Fights for the boys. Wednesday, that's for the boys. Make sure you show up next Wednesday at 9/11 Eastern. With that, buddy, Clint, let's go in and get out of here. Guys, be nice to him. And to see you guys being mean to him in the chat, be nice to him. I mean, not all of us.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, not all of us have the benefit of seeing the future and knowing that nothing ever happens, so we just stay at home that day. But Clint, let them know where they can find you at, and obviously I'll see you again on Wednesday.
Yeah, at Liberty Lock Pod on X. Fuck your mother to your entire audience.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. They're assholes.
I'm not even reading the chat. I don't know if they're actually saying anything.
They're not being nice.
Okay, cool.
No, they're saying really great things, but no, they give you shit a little bit about voting for Trump and stuff.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
whatever. He's the president, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, he's your goddamn president.
And for the record, my vote didn't change a fucking thing. So calm down.
No, it didn't. Like also, it's like people get all uppity about this. We're like, who fucking cares?
Yeah, I don't know, but people care a lot, man.
Yeah,
they care a lot.
Like you feel so ashamed you wasted your afternoon. You're like, okay,
you fucking homo, you should have voted for Chase Oliver, or you fucking homo, you should have just stayed home. And it's like, all right, okay, like whatever.
Clint's covering for Russell Brand. He knows what he did.
Well, we do share namesake. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. Did I cut off your plugs there? Let me let you pass.
No, I just Liberty Lockdown. If you guys, if you haven't been convinced that I'm a federal agent, then you can come listen to me over there.
Yeah, and if you guys want to support what we're doing over here, and if you don't want to shell out a buck, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. 5-star reviews are always nice over there on iTunes and Spotify.
Oh, Dangerous Retards is tomorrow. It's usually on Thursdays. We're doing Monday, Thursday this week, so don't miss it.
Oh, you're upping it to two a week these days?
No. We were supposed to go last Thursday, and we didn't get the scheduling right, and then Top was sick, and then so we're doing Monday, Thursday this week.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, definitely go check that out. Dangerous Retards. The whole crew is moving up. Fuck you. I'm getting ready to go on Jake Shields here soon. I got these little Top Lobster bumpers at the front of the show. You guys can tell things are getting official. It's all coming in place.
Shit's popping.
Yeah, shit's popping. We're about to have studios open up. We're going to be making millions, dude. It's going to be big shit. With that, guys, if you guys want to support me monetarily, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level's $2. That's where you get early access to episodes. You also get the ad-free RSS feed. And then also you can get the video chat option on me and Austin's weekly Already Dead show, our call-in show. And then also my sponsors, I read them off every episode just to give them a big old thank you because I love you. I'm my sponsor, sponsor and Tower Gang. At Tower Gang Toad, also my sponsor on Tower Gang. I said that way too quick. My co-host on Tower Gang. Also at Brigade D's, at ZOVREACK, at _Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly on Klebold, Will Bell, as the delicious blueberry rabbit I wine, Big Fat Show Torme, and then at INWARD Lover. With that, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Love you all. Deuces. Show up tomorrow. We're going to be in here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, me and Austin. So, yeah, I'll also be running the show tomorrow. With that, we are out of here. Love you all. Bye-bye.